Russia tried to exploit our overdependence on cutting us off the gas. They tried to cause economic turmoil and weaken our resolve for Ukraine. They failed. We answered with Repower EU. We diversified our supply. We accelerated the clean energy transition. We went from 45% of our gas imports coming from Russia down to 18%. And we went to zero coal from Russia. In sum, we cut funding for Russia's war economy and strengthened our energy security.
Watching the world burn, April 24th, 2025. Let's get into it. And yeah, I brought water today. It's summer's on its way here in Florida. It's a hot day. My throat is dry. I'm working my way to what I think is a picnic table. I don't know if we're gonna get a sit-down portion of the video because you can see I'm quite deep in the forest and I've got no signal whatsoever. But anyway, let's just get I know a couple of clips off the top of my head. I'm sorry I had to torture you with Ursula von der Leyen, but I wanted to, because the theme of today's video is liars. Now, that statement that she made was just a bold-faced lie. You understand it was the United States that cut Europe off from cheap Russian gas and oil. We blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. So when she sits there and says, oh, Russia cut them off, Russia didn't cut them off. Russia was fulfilling their contract. In fact, from what I understand, Russia's still giving Europe gas. It's just in a liquefied, more expensive form than when they could get it on a pipeline. So she's a liar. But the thing is that the people of Europe believe those statements because the media there they don't have free speech. So that their leaders can just lie. But I would hope that at some point, just like, you know, back in 2000 when everything was censored and we couldn't say anything, you couldn't even say the word mask without getting a strike on YouTube, you know, because the Democrats hate free speech, that's for sure. And, but you know, so we know what it's like to be censored, but there were still a lot of people in the United States who saw through all the lies. I mean, I hated Fauci from day one. I knew he was a lying bastard. But my Democrat wife, ex-wife, she thought, oh, Fauci, he's my hero. And I think he is still her hero. But let's talk about lies just a second. Actually, let's watch James O'Keefe, because this is actually a video clip. I'm getting off on a different tangent here for just a second. But this is him on a clip with some investigative research into ActBlue. Let's talk about that, because that ActBlue is a lie. Let's watch that.
FEC data shows that some senior citizens across the U.S. have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to ActBlue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to ActBlue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
All right, so that was James O'Keefe on ActBlue. And then, of course, you know, Here's another lie that I think people believe. Epstein, or Epstein, or however you want to call it, he didn't kill himself. You ever been to solitary confinement? There's nothing in there to kill yourself. I mean, you could maybe beat your head into the wall or something. I don't know. But he certainly didn't have anything to hang himself with. And so here's James O'Keefe with some another investigative clip on the Epstein lie.
So do I think he was killed? 100%. Yes, I do. Because he made his whole living blackmailing people. There were a lot of men in those planes, a lot of men who visited that island, a lot of powerful men who came into that apartment. When I heard he was found in Mr. Zill's home, I knew immediately. And they made it seem as though he made that suicide attempt 2 weeks earlier, but his lawyers claimed that he was roughed up by his cellmate around the neck. That was all like to plant the seed, and then so I really believe it, like really believe it.
All right, so that's 2 more lies. And then let's look back. All right, we're going to talk about the mainstream media. I'm going to go all the way back to 2003. I was embedded, and I've told this story in other videos. We're just going to hit on it briefly. But I was embedded with Fox News at Jabber Air Force Base in Kuwait. And I'm sitting there watching them on TV lying, flat out lying to the American people. They told you that there was only 28 Scud missiles that Iraq got off. Oh, hell no, it was in the hundreds, man. And I'm just looking at the reporters and I said, why are you lying like that? Oh, yeah, so, and they know they're lying. So who in the hell watches the mainstream media anymore? I mean, you would think, okay, first you had the Russia hoax in Trump's first term, okay? And all that's been disproven. Of course, nobody has gone to jail yet. I'm hoping, I'd like to see somebody go to jail for that. But the Steele dossier was made up by Hillary Clinton. And yet people still watch the mainstream media. I mean, Rachel Maddow. I mean, come on, she's as ugly as Ursula von der Leyen. I mean, weren't you just cringing at the beginning of this video? I mean, can you imagine being married to Ursula? Oh my God. I would shoot myself, man. I mean, you want to get suicidal? I would be suicidal if I was married to Rachel Maddow or Ursula von der Leyen. But Rachel Maddow, I mean, all she does is lie. And yet people still watch her. You know, so you had that. And then you had the Biden administration. Remember when they were lying to everybody's face about, oh, the border is secure. We're not bringing people into the country. When all you had to do was look out your door and see all these illegal immigrants being brought into your town. Who the hell was going to believe that? I mean, that blew me away. That people actually believed that lie. I guess for a little while, I don't know. But you'd think that, okay, now, you know, if we've seen that lie, so maybe I shouldn't watch the legacy media anymore, you know, because they told that lie. Then, of course, the biggest lie of all was, and actually, who's the guy? Tapper, Jake Tapper, actually wrote a book while he was lying to the American people. All the mainstream media told you, oh, Joe Biden, he can run laps around the White House. He can do 1,000 push-ups, man, Joe Biden. And cognitively, oh my God, he's as sharp as a tack. Joe Biden for 4 years was on vacation. I mean, that's all you had. Who in the hell could believe that lie? I mean, because you sat there and you looked, and there were all kinds of clips that would come up of him lounging in a chair on the beach, you know, or he was always someplace, somewhere on vacation, you know, because he wasn't running the White House. I mean, that was obvious from the beginning. I don't know who was believing those lies, but you think, okay, so now you rack all this stuff up, and you think, okay, well, I'm still going to listen to the mainstream media. And here's another one, another lie, was that the illegal aliens weren't getting money from the Democrat Party so that they would vote Democrat. They almost bankrupted Social Security. The illegal aliens, I was wondering where they were getting the money from. They were paying them $3,000 a month out of Social Security along with the housing allowance. And of course, they bankrupted FEMA. That's why we couldn't help the people in North Carolina. The Democrats did. And you would think, okay, so how much do you get on Social Security? I don't believe most people get more than $1,200. After working your whole damn life, and here's an illegal alien that just entered the country and broke our law, and he's getting $3,000 a month, and you don't have pitchforks and knives out, and yet these old people still watch the legacy media. Unbelievable to me. You would think, okay, at some point, you know, I mean, but these lies impact you directly. That's the part I don't get. You know, so if you're in a conversation, or at your, let's say a dinner conversation, and you know your son or daughter or wife are there, and you're saying, well, you know what, we better do something because they're bankrupting Social Security. I think we should write a letter or do something to our congressman and tell them we don't want our Social Security going to illegal aliens. Yeah, it might be a good idea. What do you think, son or daughter or wife? Well, it is something to be concerned about, I suppose. You know, but that's political. We don't want to talk politics at the kitchen table. How is that politics? That's just like the Afghan pullout. That was another lie. Oh, the Afghan pullout went perfectly. 13 soldiers died that day, along with the hundreds of Afghan allies. And we left the equipment, $85 billion in military equipment was left behind by the Democrats. And, you know, I can't even bring that up at a VFW or at an American Legion because they say that's political. How is that political when your fellow countrymen are dying? Or my veterans organization. You know where they think given to charity is Operation Shoebox. We threw all that shit in a dumpster when we moved out in Kuwait. You think we want candy or coffee? I mean, coffee was good. I mean, I drank a lot of coffee when you work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But, you know, that's another lie. That they sit there, they go, oh, it's political, we can't talk. What's the purpose of a veterans organization if it's not to take care of veterans? Speaking of that, I did want to address this topic real quick. Veterans charities. I hear on Sean Hannity all the time. There's about 6 different charities that say that they provide housing for veterans. You better do your homework. You got Tunnels to Towers, which it might be okay. I don't know, that they've been around for a while. But now I'm hearing all these other new names that I've never even heard of before. You understand a lot of charities that say that they give to veterans are fake, or a very nominal amount goes to veterans. I mean, if you look at Wounded Warrior Project, the last number that I heard, and don't quote me on this because it's been a long time, was about 60% of the money went to veterans. And they said that's a pretty good percentage. But that means 40% of your money is going to administrative. You'd be better off, go next door, if you got a veteran that lives next door, and hand them a check for $100. They'll thank you, man. In fact, they might do a little work around your house for that $100. Don't be giving to these veteran charities. And then, of course, Sean Hannity, he's saying, oh, we got to give money to Israel because Israel is in need of money. Israel don't need no damn money. You know how much of your taxpayer money goes to Israel? And how many weapons we give to Israel? I mean, my God, we would pretty much bankroll that entire country. You know, with our American taxpayer dollars, I don't want another damn dollar. In fact, at the end of this video, we're going to do a, because I'm putting it at the end because a lot of people don't like to watch it, but we're going to do a little clip on Gaza and what's actually happened in there. And yeah, it's from RT. A lot of people, they say, oh man, RT, that's Russian television. All they do is lie, lie, lie. You know what? RT is, I have yet to disprove anything that they've said, yet. And but they're the only ones that give you any news on what's taking place in Gaza. So we'll watch that at the end of the video. All right, so that's it. If I can get my bookmarks up, we'll add a little bit more of the hiking to the video. But I'm almost to the picnic table, and hopefully we'll do a little bit of on on food. That's, you know, because we're going to finish off that clip from the last video. Before we get into the sit-down portion of the video, let's get a little nature on it. This is a pond that I just hike out to. I know how to get here. It's actually a good turnaround point. It's a long hike to get here. I don't know how long it takes, almost a couple hours. But isn't that beautiful? But I wanted to show you, this is the picnic table. But look at that. They got the picnic table on those concrete blocks, and that's really smart. That'll lengthen the life of that picnic table for a long time. So I'll tell you what, man, that water tasted good. I'm glad sometimes it's worth hiking. And I got a book in the bag I might read for about a half an hour before I hike back. But this is my view off of the picnic table. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can hear the frogs in there. All right, let's get into that. Guys, the bookmarks actually came up. I couldn't believe it. So we're going to be able to do the sit-down portion. All right, this is an extremely long thread, and we're only going to get through the first portion of it, and I'll save the rest of this thread for later videos, because I don't want to just read too much of one news story. But this was Insurrection Barbie. Good Lord, she wrote a book on this, but we're just going to get the first two pieces of this thread. This thread shows how $4 trillion in federal funds were funneled through leftist NGOs to enrich activists, mobilize voters, and power anti-Trump protest with receipts. This is maybe the most important thread I have ever done. It explains how the two biggest pieces of legislation from the Biden administration filled the coffers of all these activist groups that have been engaging in the Trump 2.0 resistance, from GOTV efforts to anti-Tesla protests to legal battles against Trump. The Center for American Progress, CAP, founded by Clinton, got a bug, keeps landing on me, founded by the Clinton ally John Podesta, is more than a think tank. It's the strategic command center for the modern left. Under Biden, the CAP helped orchestrate the biggest activist cash grab in U.S. history, $4 trillion. When Biden tapped Podesta to oversee implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act, a $369 billion climate fund, it wasn't just about energy, it was about control. Podesta's real mission, redistribute buildings to Democrat-aligned NGOs. But that $369 billion was just one piece. The combined total from COVID relief, infrastructure, and climate bills under Biden exceeded $4 trillion. CAP helped shape who got that money, and it wasn't in the states, it was activist orgs. Now, there are links in the thread that I'm not going to show you. Number one, it might not go there. I can't believe I got the bookmarks up. But so she's backing this up with other data. So, and then we'll read it just a little bit more. We'll get about halfway through this. Enter the Justice 4.0 initiative, designed to steer 40% of benefits to disadvantaged communities. In practice, this meant bypassing elected officials and funneling funds directly to NGOs, most of them progressive aligned. These grants weren't just for climate justice. They funded GOTV, community empowerment, trusted messengers, and technical assistance. Translation, campaign infrastructure disguised as public service. Like I said, long thread. We'll just do one more reading and then we're going to move on. Organizations like Indivisible and the Sunrise Movement became major beneficiaries. Both have organized anti-Trump protest, Tesla shutdowns, and youth voter drives. Both have received massive indirect support through these federal programs. Indivisible used its gains to grow chapters in every swing state, launch digital voter targeting, and coordinate pressure campaigns against GOP legislation. Their footprint expanded after receiving funds through equity and democracy advancement grants. Okay, we're going to stop right there on that thread. The other story that I was just listening to was the judge just blocked the executive order that requires proof of citizenship to vote. Now, why on earth would you want a non-citizen voting unless you're a Democrat? Because they want to cheat on the elections. I can't believe, if the Republicans blocked proof of citizenship to vote, You think I'd be a Republican? But Democrats, they're perfectly okay with that lie. And you know it's a lie when the judge is going to block proof of citizenship and also to receive benefits. That was another thing that was in the executive order, because Trump said that illegal immigrants shouldn't get benefits that our taxpayer money pays for. Why do you think Democrats are doing that? Because they want the votes. And of course, they blocked voter ID. Why do you think Democrats block voter ID? Because they want to cheat. Okay, it's a simple answer. You got a Democrat friend? If their lips are moving, they're lying. Or they're confession through projection. We've talked about that in previous videos. When they're calling you a racist, it's because they're a racist. You know, like I said, my pronoun is asshole. You can call me asshole anytime you want. All right, let's get going. Let's see. All right, this is Dan Bongino. Everybody's been giving Dan a hard time. He hasn't been there very long, and they really haven't hardly arrested anybody. But you got to remember, the Justice Department is right now. I can't remember how many cases that the Democrats, the lawfare that's going on with these district court judges. I think there's like hundreds. It's in the hundreds. And so they have to litigate every one of those cases until the Supreme Court rules on that. And the Supreme Court's been ruling the wrong way on a lot of this stuff. But see, so this is Dan Bongino, a significant development. We are crushing violent gang operations in America. Along with Pam Bondi tonight, I can confirm Jose Enrique Martinez Flores, an allegedly high-ranking member of the Tren de Agua, arrested by the FBI in March, had his indictment unsealed today. The Justice Department is officially charging him with the support of a terrorist organization, as well as drug trafficking. With Attorney General Bondi's leadership, these charges are a major step in breaking the operations of violent terrorist gangs and rooting them out of American communities. The FBI is letting good cops be cops, and this is the result. So there you go. All those people who say they're not doing anything, they're getting there. I might show you this. This is a long post from Love is in the Air by Zat71. It's a post by Trump from Truth Central, but it's too long. Let's just keep going. This is Insurrection Barbie again. SCOTUS delivers yet another bad decision. This is what I was telling you about on the Supreme Court is ruling the wrong way on some of this stuff. Anyway, the ruling 5-4 in Monsalvo Vaquez versus Bondi, that illegal aliens granted voluntary departure under federal immigration law can remain in the United States past their court-ordered departure deadline, if that deadline happens to fall on a weekend or a legal holiday. The problem is, and so everybody's saying we got to litigate 20 million illegal aliens before we can deport them. We didn't have to litigate bringing them into the country. The Democrats brought all 20 million in. Where was the Supreme Court on that? They didn't say boo about the Democrats bringing in 20 million illegal aliens, but when Trump tries to, and by the way, you're just sending them back to their own country. It's not like you're sending them someplace, heinous or whatever. You're just saying, look, you're here, you broke our law, you got to leave and go back to your own country. And yet the Supreme Court wants us to litigate every single deportation of 20 million people that the Democrats were allowed to bring into the country, and the Supreme Court didn't say boo on that. That's just, it pisses me heck off, man. I'm getting upset. All right, we're going to finish off with the food here. We did it all the way up to number 6. I'm trying to get there. 4, 5, 6. All right, let's keep going. If you're serious about weight management and metabolism, try, I've never even heard of this, Burbine. Berberine. I'll take it daily to support metabolism, gut health, and immunity. But not all Burbine is created equal. I created the ultimate Burbine for superior absorption and maximum potency. You know what? You got to give the guy an advertisement, So this is his advertisement. It's at Amazon.com, because I'm reading his post, and I know that I don't make no money on this. Don't get me wrong. 7, myth, fats make you fat. Truth, healthy fats like avocados or olive oil support heart health and can aid weight loss. A review of 53 studies showed that high-fat diets are actually better for weight loss. Refined carbs and sugars cause obesity, and we got a video.
Eating the right kinds of fats and oils actually help you lose weight. In fact, 53 randomized controlled trials looking at high-fat diets versus low-fat diets, and every time the high-fat diets beat out the low-fat diets for weight loss. So eating the right fats burns body fat, it boosts your metabolism, it fixes your HDL, it lowers your triglycerides, is associated with lower risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity. Actually, eating the right fats is really good for you. True or false? The federal government's dietary guidelines now tell us there's no limit on the amount of fat you can eat. True. Actually, until 2005, the guidelines said we should be eating a low-fat diet.
All right, so there was that. Myth, carbs are the enemy. Truth, complex carbs like quinoa, can't pronounce it, but I know the word. You can see it. Or sweet potatoes fuel your body. Processed carbs, not all carbs, are the problem. A simple rule of thumb is to avoid white carbs, such as white bread. And he's got a graphic with the food list that we're looking at right now. So you can see it's the complete carbs food list, and you're reading it right now. All right, number 9, myth, cholesterol-rich foods cause heart disease. Truth, most dietary cholesterol has minimal impact on blood cholesterol. Inflammation, not cholesterol, is the bigger culprit for heart disease, and we got a video on that.
There's no high-level evidence showing even a correlation between cholesterol and heart disease, okay? There's never any high-level evidence. More than that, the Journal of American Medical Association published a report in 2015 from the UCSF showing internal documentation from the Sugar Research Foundation talking about how there was evidence, and a ton of evidence in the literature going back to the 40s and 50s, suggesting that sugar caused heart disease. In their own words, in their own documentation, detailing how they paid off 3 Harvard professors to falsify data and publish fraudulent studies to make it appear as if cholesterol was causing heart disease, or is at least correlated with heart disease, and exonerating sugar, even though sugar was the problem. They call this an empty calorie, okay? So that's where that phrase comes from. It was one of these professors, Professor Mark, who was made head of the USDA after this, and he helped shape and author the 1977 USDA dietary recommendations to significantly reduce saturated fats and cholesterol because it caused heart disease, okay? This changed the world.
All right, let's keep going. I told you this was a long post. That's why we only did half of it in the last video. All right, number 10, myth, red meat is bad for you. Truth, quality red meat is a powerhouse of protein, iron, and B vitamins. Issues arise with processed meats or overconsumption. And you get, boy, he's got a good, I'll put this picture in there. It's a good picture of a steak. Woo, that looks good, making me hungry. Unfortunately, it's to get enough red meat in your diet. Organ meats are packed with vitamins and minerals, but they aren't exactly appetizing. That's why I created this grass-fed beef organ supplement for a convenient source of nutrients. And then he's got the picture right there. Myth, salt is bad for you. Truth, excess sodium can be harmful, but natural salts like sea salt can improve electrolyte balance. Many people can become dehydrated in warmer climates if they do not get enough sea salt. Living in Florida, I see this happen all the time, and we got a video here.
Salt has gotten kind of a bad rap, but there was an article published in Science magazine about the whole myth around salt. I mean, it's true that people with chronic hypertension need to avoid salt, but for most people who are consuming enough fluid, salt is great. A lot of times people will feel jittery during the day. They'll think they'll have low blood sugar. Take a pinch of salt, put it in some water, maybe a little lemon juice to kill the taste, and drink that. You notice you're just rock solid. Why? You might have been low blood pressure or low sodium. Sometimes people can't focus and they are low sodium. Sometimes we crave sugar and we're actually low sodium.
Watch the full episode with Andrew Huberman on our channel.
All right. We're going to finish this one off, and that'll be it for the video. Well, the clip at the end from on Gaza, if you want to hang around for that. Myth, organic equals healthy. Truth, organic is better than processed, but that doesn't automatically make it healthy. Organic cookies are still junk food. Organic ice cream is still going to make you fat. Focus on whole, nutrient-rich, organic foods, not just labels alone, and he's got a graphic here. You're seeing it right now. We're almost there. Myth, plant-based diets are healthier. Truth, a diet of processed plant-based junk is still unhealthy. Whole, nutrient-dense foods are key, whether they are plant-based or meat. And he's got a graphic. We're just about there. Myth, the food pyramid is healthy. Truth, the old pyramid's high-carb, low-fat recommendation contributed to the obesity epidemic. Cereal lobbyists changed recommended amounts of grains from 3 servings to 11 daily, nearly 4 times what people should be eating. We got the graphic right here, so don't look at the food pyramid. What does all this mean? Stop believing everything you're told. Learn about your body and you can become and stay healthy. That's a wrap. Struggling with weight, low energy, pain, and chronic systems? Follow me for proven solutions. Sign up for his weekly email if you want. So, okay, enough advertisement there. But I just thought that was an excellent post because I want to include some healthy stuff in the videos. We might hit something on the way back. If not, peace out. Stay free. I'm going to try to get, oh, damn it. He got away. There was a bird up there. Let's see if we can zoom in. No, we'll try to get him here in just a sec. All right, we're going to do something incredibly stupid on this video. If you're looking back this way, that's where the picnic table was, right over there that we were using. And this is the actual way back to the main trail that takes me back to the car. I don't know where, I think the trail right here goes down to the river, but I've never walked it. But the sun is on it's going to be on my left-hand side. And we're going to take this trail right here. I have never hiked this trail before. So we could get lost back here, and it's going to get dark on me in about 2 hours. And I don't even have a headlamp. But I just want to, since the sun's on my left, we're just going to roll the dice and see what happens. I want to see what this looks like myself when I get home to watch the video. We'll get up here. I got the camera up as high as I can get it. Let's get this on the video. Just swinging around. You know, I'm just listening to Levin. He's got a good point. Why on earth are we giving money to colleges like Harvard and, you know, these Ivy League schools when they've got billion-dollar endowments? I don't understand that. I can't wait to see that on the video. Anyway, let's listen to Levin. I think I made it. I think I'm on the main road here. I'm not sure. Anyway, he was talking about that Harvard has $53 billion in the bank, earning interest, and yet we're giving them taxpayer money. And they were convicted by the Supreme Court of discriminating against Asians on the enrollment. And the Asians won the Supreme Court case. So once again, you know, we went through the $4 trillion. You see how the federal government is out of control, man. I mean, you know, do you want your tax money going to Harvard? I don't. Not when they got $53 billion in the bank. Why don't they take some of that money and build a hospital somewhere to help people? Or do some cancer research or something, instead of keeping $53 billion in the bank. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I hope I'm on. I'm not recognizing this. I hope I'm on the, look at this pine tree. Oh my God, I just happened to see that. Look at that thing. Whoops. Oh, heck, I got the thing zoomed in again. Dagnabbit. It stays zoomed when I zoom it. But look at that tree. Look at that tree. Man. Man, oh man, we got some wild pine trees, and there's another one right there. All right. Yeah, I'm not recognizing this at all. Oh, well, I guess we'll just keep going. All right, I just want to get a nature shot on the video, but I'm on the main drag because I recognize this. But look at that. Look at that. This is how dry it's been here in Florida. I mean, we are in the middle of a drought. That normally is completely full of water. And let's look at the other side over here. This is usually full of water. Well, there's some water there, but you can see it's really low. Unbelievable, unbelievable. By the way, I wanted to promote the next video. we're going to go back into the swamp one last time, because as soon as the rain starts coming, we can't get down in that swamp for the rest of the summer. So, and the people like the scenery in the swamp a bit better than here at Sunny Hill West. So we're going to get that. So that'll be, if you enjoy the scenery, and some people say they do, we'll get another swamp video. And but I got to get this. I was going to go there today, but it's just got too late in the day. I don't want to be stuck in the swamp at night. I don't mind being stuck out here, but I'm on the main drag, so we're good to go. No longer am I lost. All right, I got the exact numbers. I knew I'd gotten that Social Security number somewhere, and this is from Mila Joy. And the post goes, the average Social Security recipient gets $1,200 a month after working 50 plus years. The average illegal refugee, I prefer to call them immigrant, gets $3,874 a month after being in America for 50 minutes. And that should infuriate everyone. Everyone but old people, because old people still watch the legacy media. Unbelievable. You got a grandparent or even a parent, depending on how old you are. Why don't you try to get them to watch some independent media for once in a while so that they can learn something that might be important to them? Oh, it's political. It's political. Oh my God, I can't do that. It's political. So we hike along, pretty view there. I just wanted to give you the reason I thought of this, the gold and silver report. Gold's about almost 4,000 now. It's 3,000, I think it was 3,337 or something like that. And then silver was at 33.81, almost at 34. But, I question, especially when you listen to like Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or any of these radio hosts, they're always affiliated with these, Noble Gold or Lear Capital or, American Financing or whatever, A lot. I know American Financing, and I don't like them. They were trying to get me into a loan, and it wasn't a very good rate. And I kept asking them questions. I said, well, why would I want to do that? This is actually a nice little trail off to the right here. I'll hike this because it's a lot prettier than just going down the main drag. Anyway, so, so they're promoting those. And then, of course, if you convert your IRA over to Noble Gold, we'll give you, $1 million in silver or whatever. And then the advertise people, the only two places that I know of, or three, one might be your local coin shop, but most of the time they're selling way above spot. So I don't go to the local coin shop. You got Miles Franklin. They've got pretty good prices, and they are based here in Florida. So if I ever want to sell any of my gold and silver, that's where I'm going to go, because SD Bullion is actually based out of Michigan. But SD Bullion is where I buy all my silver and gold, because they run sales. They have a deals button. And they come recommended by other people on YouTube. And they put up a report on YouTube. You can do your own research on them. You buy your gold and silver wherever you want to buy it. But I'm just telling you, I don't trust a lot of these right-wing hosts, especially, like I told you, the charities. I don't trust the charities that they're advertising. And certainly, Sean Hannity shrills for Israel. Israel does not need more of your money unless you just want to give it away. All right, that's it for the video, because we're way too long on the video. But I said, you know what? I haven't thrown out the gold and silver price in a while. So I just wanted to get that to end the video with.
10 people have been killed in an overnight Israeli strike on Gaza City, according to local media. Missiles hit a school-turned-shelter and tents located nearby. Footage posted online showed flames tearing through damaged buildings following the strike. Displaced Palestinian families were asleep when the attack happened, leaving little chance to escape. Reports claim some victims were burned alive, including a child whose body is said to have been scorched beyond recognition. Well, that's as countries Countless, unidentifiable bodies across Gaza remain trapped beneath the rubble. Relatives are clinging really to any scant hope of finding their loved ones, even months after they went missing. We spoke to a mother who's searching for her 17-year-old son, who she last saw in 2024.
I spent almost a full year searching for my son. At that time, I considered all possibilities. I wondered, was my son detained, missing, buried under the rubble, or where exactly was he? I contacted several relevant authorities, but to no avail. People around me would ask me in surprise, "Do you still have hope of finding him?" I would respond with absolute certainty, "Yes, I have great hope." During my search from the Deir al-Balah area, where I was located, to the Netzarim area or beyond, I naturally walked the entire distance on foot because you couldn't use any means of transportation, as the area was literally a disaster zone and had no landmarks. But I was searching through those areas as I walked. Where is my son? I saw bodies with no features. As far as I remember, there was the body of a child, approximately 11 years old. Unfortunately, there were no features, and I didn't know how their families would be able to identify them. I continued searching until I found the location where I was told my son had been. I've always wondered how I would recognize my son, especially since there are thousands of unaccounted people still under the rubble, and no one knows their true number. We don't know whose son is whose because their bones have been mixed together and they are considered unidentified. But for us, they are not unidentified. They have names, ID numbers, lives, and families.
Well, often the main challenge is not finding bodies, but identifying them. Thousands of corpses are piling up in morgues across Gaza. Families are unable to verify their identities as there's simply no DNA testing kits available, as Israel continues to block the entry of the specialized supplies and equipment. A forensic expert from the enclave's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, described to us the dire situation.
We do not have any DNA testing equipment due to the occupation's prevention of any such equipment from entering Gaza, in addition to the lack of medical expertise among the technicians specializing in DNA testing. The number of bodies is very large, estimated in the thousands. We were able to identify some of the bodies using very primitive methods by measuring the length of the tubular bone, clothing, and personal belongings such as cell phones and watches. Unfortunately, we were able to identify only 10 bodies out of approximately 450 currently in the morgue at Al-Shifa Hospital. We call on all Arab and Islamic countries, as well as all humanitarian organizations, to assist us in this matter. We are requesting assistance in providing devices to identify thousands of unidentified bodies. Many of the bodies we receive have been buried for more than 6 months, so the soft tissue has dissolved. Unfortunately, only the bones remain. These bones are extremely difficult to identify. We are trying as much as possible, but this examination remains incomplete.
All right, let's get another nature shot on the video. Just thought that's a cool view, isn't it? That's where we just came from. And see, this is what I'm seeing to the left. But you can see I'm actually heading into the sun. And I don't remember this trail, so I'm lost again. But I think I'm okay. But it was worth it to get to see all this. Isn't it beautiful? Gosh. All right, let's get another nature shot. I just had to make a comment on the Ukraine war because it just pisses me off how uninformed, these radio hosts are. But anyway, if you didn't know, Russia hit Kiev with a missile strike. And you're saying, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal was there was no air defense whatsoever, and that's the capital of Ukraine. So that tells me that Ukraine has nothing left to stop the Russians from hitting whatever they want. But the reason I brought this clip up was Levin sitting there on the radio, and he says Putin is dragging his people off to war and putting them on the front lines. That's confession through projection. That's what Ukraine is doing. Every single Russian, I have seen nothing that has shown forced conscription of the Russians. In fact, they get paid, from what I understand, extremely well to volunteer to be on the front lines, and they haven't had to do conscription because they got more than enough volunteers. So Levin is completely wrong in his assessment of that. And so you hear these things and people believe this stuff. And that's what pisses me off. Go get some independent news, man. Good Lord, even Levin should watch some independent news because he's obviously completely misinformed on the Russia-Ukraine operation. It's really a special military operation. If Russia wanted to crush Ukraine, they could crush them anytime they want.